Welcome to Sister Podcast, the podcast for women of color where we inspire, uplift, and encourage our sisters to rise above. Today's episode is Rising Above, Embracing Greatness Beyond My Past. So, get ready to be encouraged, uplift. We're going to help you and to start you to begin the healing process and truly understand that you are not your past. It is something that happened to you, but it doesn't define who you are, because there is greatness on the inside of you. So are you ready to rise above and start living in your fullest potential of greatness? Well, let's get started. I am so excited to have my sister girl, my amazing girlfriend, joining us as a guest today, Miss Kimberly Godbold. Welcome, sis!
Glad to be here.
Yes, I am so glad that you made it all the way from Florida.
That's right.
So welcome. I'm excited. I can't wait to dig into today's topic. So before we get started, Kim, would you please tell the people who you are?
Okay. Well, my name is Kimberly Godbold, and they do call me Kimmy Godbold. I'm based out of Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a professional photographer in Jacksonville, Florida. I own Godbold Gallery Photography and Designs. I'm also part owner of YK Studio, and I also have a nonprofit organization by the name of Black Girls Network Incorporated.
Awesome! So y'all, you see, sisters, you see why, it's going to be amazing. And so this topic is very, of course, very dear to my heart, because as we sit here and as we dig deeper and further into this, everybody, all of us got a past. If you say you don't have a past, stop lying to yourself, because everybody have a past. And everybody has some things that they may or may not be proud of that has transpired or has taken place in their life. But the message that we want to convey, or our goal or our desire, is to encourage you, sister, that you are not your past. Your past is something that happened to you. It is not who you are, and it does not define who God created you to be. So, Kim, with that being said, as far as without going into any details or whatever, what do you feel about your past that has shaped you?
Okay. Something that what do I feel about what has shaped me in my past is I've been through several different things in my life that has contributed to who I am today. One of them I was taken advantage of as a kid. So for all of you, I am a sexual assault victim. I was sexually assaulted in the military as well as a child, but in the military I was taken advantage of over on an island, and I got a lot of backlash from that. Being a black woman in the military, also a woman in the military, you take a lot, and I think that right there shaped me into making sure that I stood up for other women, because during my time in the military, you give so much. For anybody that's prior service, you give so much to the military, and sometimes you don't have anybody to have your back, especially us ladies, not just black women, not just, it's a lot of women in the military. We do sometimes have to go through things that is not what you would normally go through. So what has shaped me into being this person that's all for women, that's continuously standing up for myself, is that second instance of being taken advantage of in the military, and pushing through, having a circle to make sure that I still pushed through and not was intimidated, because I was a victim as a kid, and I said it wasn't gonna happen to me anymore, and I stood up for other different women, and I do that today. So.
And you somewhat touched on it, but I would like you to elaborate more, if you could, is what motivated you, though, being sexually assaulted. What motivated you to look beyond that?
My daughter.
Wow.
So my daughter. So I, looking at her grow, it reminds me of how I was so innocent as a kid, because it started when I was her age. So when I had her and I saw her, like, and it's something about having a child. I only have one. I only birthed one, but I have several different daughters. But I birthed one, and it's something about bringing a life into this world and protecting it by any means. I protected myself, and I said, you know what? I got to make sure that I protect her as well. So she motivated me to just continue to look out for young girls, that innocent child that we have, that inner child, innocent inner child that we have inside of us. Well, we can't feel like we feel like we're nobody's there to help us, or nobody's there. I wanted to be able to protect that inner child, of all women, of all different girls, because I have my daughter here and I see her growing into this young little lady, and I feel like I have to protect her. Not only do I protect her, but other different women as well. So she's my motivation for me to keep going.
Awesome. Well, do you with that being said, and not being I don't use the term anymore as victim, because I've surpassed victimhood, but as a survivor of abuse, and now being a mother of two young adult girls, but did you find yourself kind of like, because of what you experienced, did you find yourself either being terrified that could possibly happen to her, or being a little bit more overprotective, because I do know as victims or survivors, we have a tendency to we have a different mindset, and we definitely have a trust issue when it comes to people, because of things that we've gone through, or we went through that were traumatic. But did you find yourself like just being as I should say, like overprotective?
Oh, of course, yes. And that was one of the things I had to go through therapy for, because I kept seeing myself inside of her, and that's another reason why I have my photography business, because I said I'm gonna have a business to where I can be there to watch her, or to be there with her every step of the way. I don't want to have anything that's gonna take me away from me seeing her. So I I was very overprotective of the situation. It was just me and her for a while because, as you know, I was also going through. Well, you may not know, but I was also going through a divorce as well. I was raising her alone while her father was stationed in California. So it was just me and her. Just me and her there in Jacksonville, Florida. So I felt like I needed to be there every step of the way. So I started something that I guess I would say I put my foot forward with the business to push it because I wanted
create something so you could protect her or have yourself readily accessible. And one thing, you know, that I've learned just dealing with life and my own personal struggles and own personal issues, it was a learning process for me as a parent that I did not want to, number one, you know, of course, have my children so fearful where, you know, they didn't want to do anything or go anywhere. But I also wanted to position them where they could stand up for themselves. And so, especially, you know, when they were younger, I started talking to my girls at a young age about, you know, good, as we call it, good touch, bad touch. And, you know, and I don't care who it is, because, you know, we've seen through studies that a lot of times that sexual assault generally happens between the victim knowing they're assaulting, opposed to it being a, you know, total stranger. So I didn't ever want my children to think, you know, because it was even, you know, I'm just gonna call it even daddy, like, because that's a real thing. That they, you know, couldn't say anything or tell, because I realized, not necessarily through being sexually, you know, assaulted, but being abused and growing up in a home where there was abuse, I ended up with a lot of issues as an adult that we don't even realize that we had. And this is why this conversation is so dear to my heart, because I want our viewers out there, especially our women out there, to understand that there are things that may have happened to you that was traumatic to you in your past, but those things don't define who you are.
That's right. So
with that being said, how is it, you know, going through this yourself and having, you know, to deal with these, you know, because it is it's traumatic, this trauma, and breaking free of your past. How is it that we as women of color can reclaim our life?
Okay, so I feel like I reclaimed my life at the age of 33. I'm 37 now, y'all. I'm not afraid to put my age out there. But I reclaimed my life back at age 33. Now, 33 is a number that's dear and true. I don't know what it is about the number 33, but my baby girl was born at 8:33. My grandmother was born at 1933. It's just, my dad did 33 years in the military, not military, but the city of Milledgeville. And it's just something about the number 33. But at age 33, I said, you know what? I'm going to turn my life around. I'm going to be able to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to just change the person who I was. I'm not going to let my past define who I was. So I started getting therapy. I've always been going to therapy since I got out of the military. I've always been going to therapy, but I had to go to an intensive therapy treatment, and I signed myself up for it, and it was a group therapy of a group of women, It's a group. And we came from all different walks of life. And that taught me a lot about myself. And it made me want to push harder for myself when I said I'm going to do this life change. And I realized a lot of things affected me in my past. So I started reading books. I started going on reading podcasts or listening to different podcasts that would motivate you and inspire you and uplift you. I started reading self-help books. I got back into my Bible. I started I started a spiritual journey at age 33 that I look back now and say, wow, I told myself I was going to do it, and I did it. So it's the upkeep. It was me just finding those tools to help me to be a better person. Therapy.
Awesome. And speaking of therapy, I too myself in my 40s find myself in therapy. And how do we get past in the African American community? It's almost like it's unheard of, like therapy. It's like a taboo. But we see that it is so needed in our community. How is it that we can get past this stigma and understand the importance of therapy and how therapy can literally transform your life? So what would you say to that sister that she knows she has some past issues, or have some issues in her life because of things that happened to her in the past, and because it's a taboo in our community? How is it that we can get that sister to understand that it's not a taboo, but it's actually a beautiful thing, and how to learn to embrace it and take full advantage of it?
So that's a great question, because I have so many different sisters that's not by blood, but I got sisters in different circles. And what I realized is that you have to have a support system that's able to, I would say, talk you and kind of nudge you. It's almost like mentorship. I mentor women that are older than me, and I mentor women that are not younger than me. You learn from everybody. And I realize that I get my mentorship from my sisters around me to help me help guide me. So I think it boils down to your support system, and being comfortable around your support system to hear them out, to help them, to see you, that we're all broken. And if somebody can accept you for who you are, that's a beautiful thing. So I definitely think it's your circle that surrounds you. And if you don't have a circle to get into some type of mentorship or into some type of organization, start going to church, or start going to anything that can inspire you and pick you back up and uplift you and help you see that you're not alone in this. We're all fighting some type of thing that's going on in our life. So I think it boils down to your support system, your circle, the people that you have around you. And if you don't have that, make one.
And with that being said, what would you say, or what was challenging to you to allow you to move forward? Because I'm a firm believer, anytime you make a declaration or a choice to begin to transform your life, things come at you all kind of angles to deter you, to tell you lies that are not true. So what challenge would you say that you face when you made this declaration, and when at 33 you say, you know what, I'm going to reclaim my life, because that's what happened to me. That's not who I am,
right?
But it's what happened to me. So what would you say would be a challenge, or was a challenge?
My challenge was my mouth, honestly. I used to fight all the time when I was a kid. I was that child in school that I always took up for other people. And I used that. I see now that I was using it in the wrong way, but my challenge was my mouth, being able to be silent and not responding back to every attack that was on me. I wanted to take up for my name. You couldn't speak on my name. You couldn't do any of that. You could, because this is my name. So that was my challenge, is to be still and be quiet. So it was a challenge for me, because when I started trying to change, I had, as you say, so many different things thrown at me, so many different situations to where I'm like, you know what, let me just square up, because I ain't got time. You know what I'm saying? Let me just come see you. And that was my biggest challenge, is learning how to be silent, learning how to be still, learning how to listen more than I speak, because it is a challenge when you are defensive. It's a challenge when you want to always be right. You're not going to always have everybody to like you. That's what I realized. Everybody's not going to like you. So you just got...
Doesn't matter what you do.
It don't matter what you do. They're going to like you, So that was my challenge. I know I've gotten better, much better at that. But yeah.
And I think if we are, especially as African American women, I think that's a challenge for all of us.
Oh yeah.
Is that we talk so much sometimes that we don't know when to be silent. But I think a part of that is that's almost like either our coping mechanism or our defense mechanism. It's almost like I gotta always defend myself. But the thing is, being silent sometimes can be a powerful weapon.
Oh, yes.
And when we talk about our mouth, that was one thing that even, in my 50s now, there are times I have to say, Lord,
Gotta catch yourself. I know.
Lord, hold my tongue, bridle my tongue, because I had to learn that everything does not require a reaction. Everything don't require a response.
Right.
Some things you just gotta be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I know as African American women, once again, I talked about this on another episode, is that even there are things that was just handed down to us from generations. So it's almost like it's a generational curse. But it can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse at the same time, because for so long, we as black women, we couldn't say anything. Especially during slavery, we couldn't say anything. We dare not to say anything, and women were taught that women are seen. They don't have a voice. You can't say anything, and so you're to be quiet. But we gotta understand, as African American women, we gotta learn when is it time for our voice to be heard, and when is it time for us not to even say anything. But I do believe a lot of times that is our defense mechanism, because for so long we couldn't say anything. So now it's just like, what, I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind. I'm just gonna tell you what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, blah blah blah, whatever. But I also believe that defense mechanism is also something that we're hiding. Why do we feel like we gotta be on the defense at all times? And sometimes we hear it, and people say it as jokingly, the angry black woman, or they think all black women are angry, or they're confrontational, they're combative, and that's not the case. But a lot of times that's what we portray. Like, we always got something to say, or we got to have the last word, or we just we got to be heard. And that's not the case. And I do believe a lot of that stems from unresolved trauma or issues in our life. So with that being said, how do you think, or how were you able to use your past, or some of the things that you, especially with this sexual assault, but how were you able to use that as a source of strength?
You meaning my voice,
just what you went through, and even when you think back, some of your, either some of your coping mechanisms, or either some of your defense mechanisms that you use to protect yourself or to protect your daughter. How and just knowing what you went through, how is it that what you endured, what you went through, how is it that you can use it as a source of strength?
Gotcha. Okay, so I use my voice now. I still have a voice. Especially down in Jacksonville, Florida. So I use my voice in several different ways. My strength. I was a Grand National Chaplain of a sorority. I was a president of a motorcycle club. I use my voice to speak up I used it in a way that it could better something else, better another organization, or better another entity, versus me speaking up I still speak up for myself, don't get me wrong. But I realized that the power that I had, the feistiness that I had, I'm able to use that and use that and put it towards something that is going to benefit everyone else. I have mentees and even though I've always been a person to keep it real, I keep it 100 with whatever I do. I don't care. I got a 6-year-old daughter, and I still keep it real with her.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rashard Larkin. I help pastors, preachers, ministry workers, lay leaders, and educators add value to their communities by learning to write the right book. I'm the author of What Do I Do Next? 10 Steps to Becoming Who God Created You to Be. And I created that book as a guide onto how to win in your personal relationships, as well as in your relationship with God. For me, it was the answer to a question that I asked myself during a season of darkness when I was unsure and uncertain of which way I needed to go. If you want to connect with me, please visit 6daycontent.com. That is the number 6. So it's www.the6daycontent.com. Look forward to connecting with you. God bless.
I keep it real with all of my mentees because I realize that sometimes they have to have that firmness, and I do have firmness in my voice, but now I know how to, my delivery. I've worked on my delivery. And when you work on your delivery and still have that power, I think us as women, yes, we deal with generational curses, but a lot stem from women having to take the strength and take care of the household when the man was taken out of the house back years ago during the crisis. So it also boiled down to women having to take up for the entire household, the entire community, hold it down. So I use my voice now to still be that person to take to make sure the community is good, but in a good way. In my organization, my mentees, I teach them, about all the different do's and the don'ts, and hey, learn from me. This is what happened for me. So, but I put it in a way of they can understand it. So
and one thing that I've found with our sisters sometimes, or in our community, as African American women, a lot of times we don't want to share like what we went through, for whatever reason. But I've come to realize over these years, what we go through or what we endure is never for us. It's just something that happened to us, but God gives us the strength and the wherewithal to get through it, so we can share it with someone else, so they don't have to experience what we experience. So He is the author and the finisher of our life, and He already knows what's going to happen in our life, what's going to take place, what we're going to go through, what we're going to deal with. So we have to get out of that stigma where, I don't want anybody, to know what happened to me. Well, how is it? And I also look at that, when you do begin to share, there's also a way or a form of healing as well. That's how you heal. It's through sharing, and like you said, through your testimony. And so I just know that there is so much that lies within us. When God created us, He created a work of art. Oh, yeah. We are one of God's best and greatest creation. We are His masterpiece. We are the apple of His eye. And there is nothing that you have done that He won't get you through. And I know you're saying, well, you know what? You don't know what all I went through. That's easily said than done. You know what? There comes a time in our life where we have to stop being the victim and say, you know what? I'm going to take back my life. Whoever took something away from you, now it's time for you to take back your life. Reclaim. Don't give anybody else the power of knowing whether they know it or they don't know it, but you're still giving them power, because you will not take back your life. You will notice a big change in your life once you rewrite the narrative of your story and reclaim your rightful position in the kingdom, because there's greatness inside of you. And so before we close, because this is, oh my goodness, I just absolutely love it. And what I didn't say that I do love about Kim is that even though the things that she went through in her past didn't define her, but what I do love about what she does is the work that you do in your community in Jacksonville, and how she poured into the lives of other women, not necessarily women that went through what she went through, but just pouring into the lives of other women. So just empowering other women, other young girls, mentoring them. These are great things that we all got a rightful place in our community that we can do. So before closing, I would like for you to share in your own words with someone that may be struggling to reclaim their life back. And what would you share with them, and what would you say to inspire them, to empower them, so they can begin to discover the greatness that's already on the inside of them?
That's awesome. What I would say to someone that is struggling in that sense.
You can talk directly to my sister, because she's out there, she's looking.
I'm going to talk to you, sister. And I'm going to turn it towards the camera. What you've been through does not define who you are. God already made us perfect. You know, it takes us to see it. And sometimes we have to pull ourselves away from the chaos. We have to pull ourselves away from the things that takes our attention away from us. It starts within ourselves first. And what I would say is get really connected with who you are, who you used to be. Because you can't go forward if you don't go to your past and you heal that inner child. You heal that person that you feel inside of you that was hurt the most. You can't move forward. And in order to move forward, you got to spend some time with yourself. So I would say start journaling, start reading, start getting acquainted with who you are, tapping back into your gifts and your arts and the things that we put away that we didn't think we had anymore, the gifts that we didn't think we had anymore. Pull those back out, because God gave those to us for a reason. It's for us to empower other people. So if you're struggling, I would say spend some time with yourself. Spend some time getting to know yourself again. And as you do that, you will blossom and you will bloom into a sunflower.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim. I thank you for sharing your story, because anytime we start talking about our past, and I am the one, I don't ever want to pry. It's a personal choice. And I want to thank you for your transparency and sharing your story. And I know that there's someone out there watching that sees themselves in you. And so thank you for giving that power to, to someone that's watching. And it's just amazing. And if nobody has told you today, I'm so proud of you. You are such a beautiful person inside and out. You're such a beautiful person inside and out. And it may not seem like it, or I don't know what you guys are seeing right now, but I've only known Kim a year. I just met her in 2023. We just met in 23.
And it was something.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about it was an instant connection when I met her. What you see right now, the spirit that you see right now, was the same spirit that I saw when I met her. And so, to my sister, that same beautiful spirit, it's out there. It's in you. Allow it to, like she said, blossom into a beautiful sunflower. And so, Kim, thank you. And I know in closing, and this is one thing that I do every time I end the podcast, is in 30 seconds or less. 30 seconds or less. I know we spoke about this, but if you can speak to your sister right now in 30 seconds or less, just to inspire, empower, or encourage, or uplift, what would you say to her right now? 30 seconds or less.
Sis, pick up your Bible. All the answers are there. I had to teach somebody someone had to teach me to go to the back whenever you're dealing with something. Sometimes in your Bible they have things that you're dealing with. Go to your Bible and look for scripture. Look for words of encouragement in some place. Rather it be, look for the light in anything that you do. So,
amen. She just told you, look for the light. There is always a light, even sometimes in darkness. I don't care if it's only a smidgen of light. If you can see just a smidgen of light in the darkness, just know that there is light. So it doesn't matter what you're going through. Just know that there is greatness inside of you. So I thank you guys for tuning in today. And as I always say, live in peace to be at peace. Thank you for joining us, Kim. Thank you for having us. Thank you. I'm gonna get it out. Thank you for being a part of this podcast today, and I appreciate you. And you all stay tuned for more. Love you. God bless. Bye bye. Well, thank you. Wasn't that truly an amazing episode? So we gonna rise above. It's over with now. I need my sisters out there to say, it is over with. I thank you for joining us. It is time to start walking and living in your greatest potential. Thank you for today's episode. Rising above and embracing the greatness beyond your past. So remember to share this information, tag someone, tell another sister, subscribe, and let's begin to transform your journey, and let's start moving in it. See you on the next episode. This episode is sponsored by Karina's Design Studio and Showroom